Hudson, and this is my fourth course toward completion of the College Teaching and Learning Certificate. I am a lifelong educator and student. I'm a graduate of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Tusculum University in Greenville, Tennessee, ECU, and most recently I've completed my doctoral degree in educational technology at Boise State University. I'm a former exceptional children's teacher and elementary school librarian turned K-5 design teacher at Snipes Academy of Arts and Design in Wilmington. Snipes is a magnet school of arts and design, but has never taught or even defined design until recently. I was hired a few years ago to do both of those things and have created a program that's a mix of ed tech and STEM. If you have kids or know anyone who has kids, you know how rough it's been for teachers and students since March. I've spent the last few months vacillating between feeling devastated by the impact of COVID-19 on my students and their education and feeling tremendously motivated to learn everything I can about what needs to happen when we return to school in the fall to help all of us cope with the last few months. As I watched Elon's videos about the scholarship of teaching and learning, I could readily connect it to my own K-12 professional experiences and goals. In a nutshell, SOTL is a teacher undertaking systematic inquiry related to student learning in their classroom. I appreciated the description of the syllabus as a hypothesis and SOTL as the steps you take to look at the effectiveness of that hypothesis. Did students learn what I wanted? What can I do differently? The idea of assessing teaching in terms of student learning is embedded in K-12 education, making SOTL a very familiar idea. Actually, it makes it hard to believe SOTL hasn't always been a part of higher education. That said, based on what I learned in the academic profession course I took in the fall, I understand the deep division between research and teaching in higher education. But as an educator, I can't imagine not focusing on student outcomes. In my mind, student learning is the whole point of teaching, and doing anything other than examining your instruction in terms of student outcomes seems irresponsible. Anyway, Nancy Chick of Vanderbilt describes SOTL as identifying an interesting question, establishing establishing methodology grounded in the question and in the researcher's expertise, undertaking the research and then publicly sharing the findings. The last part, publicly sharing the findings, isn't part of my K-12 experience, but was definitely part of my doctoral studies. And it's something I've come to value, something I view as an important part of the scholarship of teaching and learning, and something I think is missing from the K-12 paradigm. K-12 teachers are notorious for reinventing the wheel. Higher education definitely has the better model for conducting and sharing research. SOTL seems like the middle ground between what is the norm for K-12 and what is the norm for higher education, incorporating some of the best of both. So back to my professional goal of helping students cope with our current world. The reading and professional development I've completed since March has led me to conclude that student social and emotional learning should be my focus for the fall. While I'm K-5, I suspect students of every age from pre-K to higher ed are going to need high levels of teacher understanding and support in the fall. I'm interested in exploring what teachers need to know to identify and help support students who are experiencing social and emotional difficulties that are negatively impacting their ability to learn. I'm undecided about whether this goal should have an ed tech focus. Despite the fact that ed tech is my field and remote learning is a likely possibility for future instruction, I'm torn. I will have to dig into the literature and see what I find. I suspect there is research about social emotional learning and online learning, but in my mind, traditional online learning and the remote learning we have just experienced are two very different things. Online learning is an established field with research-based best practices, and remote learning was thrown together with good intentions by a lot of people who really didn't know what they were doing. I'll have to look at the literature and think about what I believe the world will look like in the fall, face-to-face or remote learning or some blend of those two, and use that to guide the focus for my topic. Thank you for listening, and here are my references.